Hey everyone, this is Louis7, and today I am streaming the Lord of the Rings Online. I have a fresh new Warden that I'm going to be leveling with the new-ish sort of difficulty system. And I'm going to test a bunch of different difficulty levels, and I realized I haven't made a new Warden since their revamp and update 35, so it's sort of an opportunity to test two things out: what leveling a Warden is like in the revamp, but also what leveling a Warden like in the low levels is like with the difficulty system. I also haven't played that many characters overall in the lower levels in terms of the difficulty. I think the lowest have been just very brief combat in the low 20s, with I think my brawler was the lowest. So I'm really excited to see how it works with the very low levels, because based on my experience in Treebeard, where we had this system and the server that I played, low level characters were probably the roughest experience, just because you didn't have any skills to deal with all the different difficulty mechanics, such as the corruptions. Don't remember if there were extra debuffs. I don't think that there were, but debuffs were extra deadly. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that's still the case now that I have a little bit of context for what high level is like with the difficulty system, which is based on my experience so far, quite a bit different than the low level experience. Not necessarily different in a bad way or in a good way where it's, say, easier or even more difficult at high levels. It's just a different experience based on the characters that I have tested, which are not necessarily perfect characters, but they're real characters that are basically leveling in the game. So we're doing the Mossword intro just because it's super quick and gets us out into the open world, the earliest of all the intros, and I don't have to pay like 95 LOTRO points or whatever it is to just do the intro skip. So that's why I'm doing Mossword. I anticipate every character I make from now on in LOTRO will be doing this intro unless something changes. But yeah, it should be exciting today. Also, to explain the lateness of this stream, first off, I was finishing lunch, which that's okay. But then I realized it's very warm in here. With it being summer, it is hot outside. Are we going outside? I think we are. And I realized that my air conditioner is actually not working, but I think it's working now. But that was a little bit concerning, so I had to spend some time checking on that. It could have just needed a little bit more time, which maybe that's how it got working anyway, but it was a little bit concerning because it was not kicking on, even though it was like 76 in here and I just had it set at 74. But when I stream, that's when I really notice it getting quite hot. So this is what this... oh wow. Wait, do I not have gambits? That's so weird. Do they just give you... okay, you do get some gambits. Not good gambits, but yikes. Okay, level 1 Warden is quite bad with the revamp. It might have been just as bad before, to be honest, but it's not good. You do have some gambits, which I guess I gotta give them credit for. You have like the 3 simplest gambits, but they're not really good gambits to start with. Gambit default does 1 damage, it looks like, whereas if we look at something like Death Strike, that actually would do a little bit of damage, so it might be worth using that. But did want to get to chat and say hello to Carmoth, Casual, Cardin, Zara, and Sergio. And Piper. She's making my character jump. But yeah, for some reason I was just expecting, I guess usually with my characters in recent Wardens that I have leveled, they've all done the intro skip, so I'm used to having most of the 2-length gambits by then, including things like the boot, which would now be the big upfront damage gambit, and whatever other 2-length gambit ones there are that I was trying to use there. But yeah, for the best class for landscape difficulty, I think it's an interesting question and actually needs to be split into 2 parts. Say, for me, the question would be, what is the best for levels for tier 3 difficulty? And then what would be the best for tier 9 difficulty? In between, you could probably fill in the gaps. I don't know if that's something I will ever test unless they actually make changes to the system, because for me, tier 3 is sort of the baseline, and the only reason to go above tier 3 is if I actually want a pretty significant challenge. At that point I might as well do tier 9. So I actually made a poll on this asking what you all ran, if you run any of the difficulty levels, and I forget the exact results. I can actually check that now. I would have had that pulled up if I was prepared. But let's see, for the poll. Takes forever to find them in the YouTube dashboard. They finally added polls, or not just polls, but your community posts to the YouTube dashboard, but they still, it's tough to get to. But anyway, with 502 votes, which was a pretty good amount, 52% of people said that they don't change the landscape difficulty, so that's about half. And then of the half that voted that they do change difficulty, 22% did tier 1 through tier 3, 9% did tier 4 through 6, 2% did tier 7 through 8. So for tiers 4 to 8, what I'd consider that middle range, those are the least popular, even though that covers a large range of levels. Those are the least popular at 11% of total votes. And then tier 9 for max difficulty is 14%. Of the comments, I also found that a lot of people tend to do higher difficulties in group, which makes sense. It's not necessarily going to be the most rewarding doing them solo, even though a lot of the testing I have personally been doing has been solo so far. My Ken, I know, is working on getting a group going. Potentially this Friday is when we would start with that, but unfortunately it's going to be starting at the low levels, and it sounds like they're planning on it being a super... I don't know if they're really planning on it being a super slow group, but that's the impression that I get. So I have basically the same concerns as what happened with Treebeard, is that we'll get to like level 30 and bored of it because it's, I think, at least partially going slow, and also just not making much progress and getting to doing actually interesting things with the difficulty, at least to me, and might not go that way. But I guess that's the worry, because that's what happened to our group on Treebeard, basically. Maybe with the faster XP that we get on the live servers, that will help a little bit. Right off the bat with the cat petting. Oh, that's a big pile of fur. Wonder how that got there. But anyway, I should get back to the chat, because I was about to read those comments on the post as if they were a live chat. Yeah, this Cardin, this place is great for starting a new character. Now that we're out of the intro, though, I actually don't know what I want to do on this character. Y'all might remember, I have not actually done Cardin. That would be quite the work to level up to Cardin and randomly start questing there, but that is a possibility. But I'm thinking I'll activate the landscape difficulty maybe after we get like level 4 or something. And I do have a few options to level up. I could do these before the shadow quests here in Swan Fleet, but as you all know, they are not my favorite. I could also craft. I could sort of cheat and craft my way up, like log into a different character, give me a ton of crafting mats. I don't know that I really want to do that though, so maybe we'll do the prologue to start here while we fight the toughest boss in LOTRO. Finally surpassing lag with Piper here. Oh, we could also do the Midsummer Festival. Can you actually do that at this level? Requires level 5, that makes more sense. I was gonna say, usually that stuff seems to be like 5 or 10, or some things are 20. I think the Great Wedding Quest, what were those, level 10 minimum? And they just scaled to your level. Sergio, you're doing a tier 9 Guardian on Arkenstone. I'm curious, are you playing solo or in a group with your Guardian? Yeah, Redline Guardian, I looked a little bit, haven't done a deeper dive into it, but Orion's latest, I think it was Orion who did that one, but their latest post on what the idea is for the, oh, I have to read this, there we go. But what their ideas, latest ideas are for the Guardian revamp, and they're calling it refresh, which I think is much better terminology, because to me it doesn't look, there are some decent sized changes, but I don't know if I could quite call it a, well, see, I say that I can't quite call it a revamp, but they're actually completely changing the yellow line, which I think would qualify this as a revamp, but as far as the core of the red line seems to be more of a refresh than a revamp. But yeah, to me, it's just the type of thing I'll have to wait and see how it actually shakes out in terms of gameplay, because just from what I have read, it doesn't make me very excited, but it doesn't make me like think I will dislike it. It just doesn't excite me as much as perhaps some other changes that could have potentially be put in something like that. I think one of the things that is good is that it, doesn't make me sort of dislike whatever they're thinking about doing, because that has kind of been the case with their proposed changes for Blue Line Lore Master that some people are a fan of, which is great, but I am not, basically. I don't know if I have any new gambits at level 2. You get offensive strike at level 2. So an oh wow, that does a lot more damage. Alright then. Good to know I have that. It's very offensive at this level, which I need. And it's an AoE. Oh, you have to find the defeat circle. That's funny. Okay, we should go ahead and get my like riding stuff and all this different things I have to open. I'm also going to use XP boost to start, because this is basically the case. I've run these very low levels so many times that they're just not the most exciting. So I should have done this way earlier so we can get our XP going up faster, but that's no problem. I kind of just got on autopilot with gameplay, and to be honest, I'm 100% going to blame Piper. She has been a great distraction here, if y'all cannot tell. That's armor of the Hammerhand. We can wear that. This is actually the armor. It's not the character that was in the thumbnail. I had to be a little bit deceptive because I didn't have this character made yet. I made him but did not log into him. So I just used my high-level Warden. And can you say cosplayed for a character? Anyway, let's go ahead and get the Shield of the Hammerhand. Should be somewhere here. Not Gift of the Thanes. Oh yeah, and all the... Oh, it takes forever to go through this stuff, which is okay. I was just clearly prepared more so for gameplay and combat and just jumping into things, but we can take the time to do this. Okay, so that's the good earring that I do want. We don't want any of that stuff. I believe Minas Morgul would be the other one that I want to open. Yes, that has the other good earring. And then, sure, we can learn this stuff. Then, don't need Mordor. I'm still looking for Helm's Deep. There should be a Shield of the Hammerhand box somewhere. And I thought it actually looked different. I didn't already equip it, did I? Nope. I don't think it's one of these. I can get the 10-year Mordor frame, Elf Dance emote. Oh yeah, it's... No, I don't think it's one of these either. Oh, here it is. I don't know why I'm so blind sometimes, but... Like, I knew what the box looked like. I knew it was that icon that I just found. But there we go. Clean-ish inventory. Very clean for me, but it's a whole bunch of junk. Usually I have actually useful stuff in my inventory, even though it's way overflowing. But here we go. 2 shields, rusty looking javelin and rusty looking spear, but this is good enough. I also tried to make this character look a little bit different. I'm not the biggest fan of that hairstyle, but I just wanted to use something different. And a lot of the shorter hairstyles I'm just not a fan of, with the high elves at least. But anyway, back to chat. Did want to say hello as well to Stands in the Fire, and Void Ranger, and Misty Gamer, and Backstab Bud. Let's see. Okay, so Dalton, you said you're doing tier 3 on all classes for titles. Yeah, I think that's, as I repeat over and over, I think that's a great baseline. And that's what we'll start this character at. I just ran into the Master of Stealth, the Hardened Traveler. He blends in just as well in Mossword as he does by the Prancing Pony in Breeland. So we'll start tier 3. I do intend to test tier 9 though. So it's not going to be like I'm just staying on tier 3 then. Where's my keybind's only half working? It's my keyboard. Yeah, my keyboard's acting a bit funky. For some reason, I wonder if it's because it's a Logitech keyboard, I wonder if the software is not running properly right now. Sometimes it does that, I just need to restart my PC. Oh, it could also be that I was trying to type in chat. Again, I'd like to blame Piper for that. I'm really directing all my complaints at my cat right now. Guardian revamp should be with update 37. I expect that to be in August, but update 36 came a couple to few weeks earlier than I anticipated, so it could be coming up pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in beta in July, though. I'm also really curious what they have for the Beorning refresh. I gotta be careful with my terminology to not use revamp, because I don't know, they're similar terms, but I think the connotation of a revamp just is more significant changes than what I would expect with something called refresh. So they might be purposefully using that terminology as something to actually make it not seem like it's more than it is. Quick thrust or quick toss. All right. I don't know what I want to do with this character gear-wise, because I kind of want to test what you just naturally get while leveling. Warden's Taunt used to have a damage over time, but it does not anymore. I don't think specking will change that. But here's Offensive Strike. 27 and 12. Beautiful. And then use Hampering Javelin or Warning Shot. Okay, got that guy hampered. And then we're bringing the Uruk Blade to the East Gate. Wow, I already have 7 tokens of heroism. Those have got to be account bound or something, right? Because I would not have killed that many mobs. I've killed like 0. The training dummy technically got on combat with. Although I'm curious if the training dummy can activate the Eye of Sauron if you're in combat with them. Which I know is a controversial thing. I've seen most people express that they don't like the Eye of Sauron, but some people have said, oh, I get both. So I went from a rusty javelin called Stick Javelin to Rusted Javelin, and then I went from a rusty spear, that's a wood spear actually, somehow you got a rusty wood spear, to a sturdy spear. I've seen a couple people say that they are a fan of the Eye of Sauron and it changes the dynamic of gameplay, which makes sense. But I've also seen people say that they're not a fan of it, which also makes sense. I'm kind of in between. There are certain parts of it that I don't necessarily mind, but there are also certain parts of it that I maybe don't like, is the best way to put it, instead of actively dislike. So the Eye of Sauron debuff that your character gets, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Do I have the boot yet? Oh, I do. That's a 63 damage kick right there. That reminds me, actually, Sergio, I'll try to remember to comment on that in a moment, but I did want to clean up my bars here. I gotta find a good cosmetic pet for this character if y'all have any recommendations from what I have right here. For now, ooh, normally I don't like the Ukrosh, but I'm feeling the Ukrosh for some really weird reason. But I have to check basically every level up what gambits I get. So I have Offensive Strike and the boot. Am I reading this correctly? Let's see. Something a little bit more than a very quick glance. Yes, okay. The boot does do slightly more damage, which is what you should expect. But first, last, you were saying that you recently got back into LOTRO after not having played since Moria. Wow, my videos have been super useful. Glad they've been helpful. Hopefully you're enjoying LOTRO. Okay, so we got Ambush, and we have a couple new gambits. That's good to know, a couple defensive ones. I did get the Wary title, and I just got hit by a Flame Strike. Okay, let's go ahead and spec. Like, wow, you have 4 trait points at level 5. I'm still not used to that. That's pretty crazy. So this point, what do I want? Probably going to do primarily melee damage, not really light type damage. Because I think there's a lot of interest in optimizing your like level 5 to 10 builds with classes that have a support tree like this, a supplemental trait tree like this to support your other builds. I think there's a lot of interesting things, but I think for now I'm primarily just going to do melee damage. I have 0 bleeds. Technically my spear can trigger a bleed. Also, I think you have to go to Lon Garen to pick up crafting. Is that right? There's a crafting facility there. I might actually see because, well, I don't have my toolkit. I could get that. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with crafting. Yeah, tier 3 seems to work well at this level. Like, the flame strike doesn't do that much damage. I think that was the boar that stunned me. I don't remember the flame strike actually stunning like that. But it's basically single target, the boot spam. I don't know if ambush does any good damage. Not very impressive, but not bad for what I have. Okay, but moving on. On Treebeard Casual, you said you've never heard anyone complain about the airstrike. Yeah, it's something I just see people complain a lot about. More than I see people say either praise it or just not talk negatively about it. Okay, so we still need King's Foil, which sounds like it will be northwest of here. Don't mind killing extra mobs to get a little bit of grind XP. I think maybe level 6 will give us some interesting games. Also, if I can get my buttons correct, we can use some AoE. Oh wow, I'm actually okay. This is bad. I'm not used to this. I didn't think there would actually be any problem with this on tier 3, but my health is low. Okay, we got this. But see, at this level, I cannot remove a corruption. There's nothing I can do about that, and that's one of the things that I don't like about the Eye of Sauron, is the enemy corruptions and not having anything to deal with it. And I think that's one of the biggest things, especially for the low-level characters. I talked about my kin doing a Treebeard group with the difficulty system, and for me it just wasn't exciting at the lower levels. I mean, there were some good moments. We had a great time in the Old Forest getting one-shotted by roots. That was great, but for sustained interest in something like that, I think higher levels just provides a lot more opportunity. To me, at least. Oh yeah, so Sergio, to get back to your comment about you lost the level 10 title because of the Eye of Sauron, that actually gives me an idea, because I've been kind of debating whether if I really want to do a hardcore series in LOTRO or how that would shake out, but something that I could actually do is, I don't know if tier 9 would necessarily be the best for this, but a challenge to get the Undying title, which I think is the level 20 title. But anyway, get that highest level title without dying on some sort of high difficulty. I think tier 9 could be a really interesting challenge, but it might be a little bit much. Also, I was going to look for crafting, not one here. Where were we going? Stable Master, that's right. That is one thing with a hardcore challenge though, casual, is that you'd basically have to have some form of forgiveness for sort of forced deaths. I think there's one you say during Ingmar, and then if I remember correctly, wasn't there one during Mirkwood, I want to say? Where are we going, Kleeger? I'd have to spend a mithril coin. Expect me to have 5 silver at this point. It's actually going to be close. There we go. We got 5 silver. Shoo.
How can I be of service?
Normally I love doing side quests, but I want to get somewhere else. I might go to, it's been a while since I've done Ear of the Wind. I'm actually high enough level to do that now. But I did also want to potentially do this character in. I know I have that whole hardcore captain thing going on, but I just haven't been that excited to play that character. Maybe doing this Warden through Cardin could be something to keep me going with it and continue actually testing the difficulty system out and get quite a few levels. It'd get me caught up to my other Wardens just about, maybe not quite exactly. So what I'm thinking is I'll kind of do that captain strategy and just do the book quest until Cardin and see where that leads me. We'll stay on tier 3 this whole time until we get to really serious combat in Cardin. And I think that will be a good start. I don't know. Does that sound good to you all? Luis, you can choose the difficulty level at, I believe, right from the start. I got out of the intro and was able to do it at like level 2 or whatever when I finally selected that when I ran into the Hardened Travel there. But yeah, Standing Stone Games did implement a hardcore server, kind of like they've done with their other game, what's it called? DDO, Dungeons and Dragons Online. They would probably have to have some mechanic where certain deaths could somehow be excluded from the actual hardcore mechanics. Of course, that creates complications because, as I talked about with the Captain series, what if there's just a massive lag spike and you die due to lag? Do you have to treat that as part of the hardcore, the difficult experience, or how do you handle that basically? And then that adds subjectivity, which means that people could sort of get around things easily if they really wanted to. Okay, so we have a couple decent games. Should I try 3 mob AoE? Yeah, with the little piglets. Oh, that sounds so terrible. Okay, this is actually bad. I'm about to lose my level title. Oh, potion? Do I have a potion? It's an emergency. One of your gift box, you got a potion? This thing got a potion? Oh, I have swiftness. That's so cheating, though. I think we're safe. Whew. See, I could have just blamed lag there if this were a hardcore character and then just say I could continue, but that kind of defeats the point of the hardcore series to me, or hardcore challenge. It's kind of similar though with like increasing if I went to tier 9 difficulty just to do tier 9 difficulty, and what I actually did was fight mobs, green mobs the whole time, like 5 or whatever levels that is below you. If I just did that the entire time. Also, do I not even have my range stance now? I'm also used to having that right off the bat with Warden. So that's kind of odd. I wonder if you're supposed to get at like level 10 now or something. Don't know. I also can't see the chat thanks to Cat. This cat, not the one laying in the bed. Okay, I need revenge on these boars though. I think we'll start with the regular Tusker. Level squish happens. I don't know if they did a level squish, what the level cap would be. I think an easy way, well, I shouldn't say easy way to do it, but a way they could do it is to maybe sort of, I was gonna say sort of similar to WoW, but with all the content LOTRO has, if they did it to like level 100, that would still be, I think, better than what we have. They could do it to level 50, but that would make leveling super slow in the game. Like, it'd still be relatively same time to get to the same point in the game, but as far as actual, like, how long it takes you to go from, say, level 29 to 30 in that case, that could be almost a whole expansion's worth of content to get one level up, which I think is one reason a level squish would be tough to implement correctly in LOTRO without altering the leveling experience, which I think would be a lot more, but I don't see a level squish happening. There's the beautiful Eye of Sauron. I think the biggest thing with the Eye of Sauron that can be annoying. I already talked a little bit about it, but the combination of effects with mobs that already have special effects that sort of overlap with the Eye of Sauron, I think those overlaps can maybe intensify the difficulty in a way that makes it less fun without just making things straight up more difficult. So like if you already have a mob where you need to remove corruptions, well, if they get the Eye of Sauron corruption, then you're kind of either missing out on the mob's mechanics or missing out on the difficulties mechanics, which a mob that maybe has corruptions that are very important to remove could already be very difficult if they just had their, say, health damage, maybe even attack rate improved. At least effectively. Alright, looks like I gotta do the hold way and try to stay over my cat as I try to make my way to the northeast. We are level 7 though, so that means I can check for new gambits. And we have Precise Blow. We have our first damage over time gambit. I cannot see the icon, so the H key shall save. And we'll compare it directly to Precise Blow here. That's the one we picked. Trying to navigate the landscape. We have a bridge. Okay. I really cannot see. There is one way to actually fix this. Make the skill panel reasonable size here. We don't yet taking up the whole screen. Alright, let's get the boot. Okay, so as far as the damage profile of these two abilities, I think it is pretty clear that Precise Blow does more damage than the boot over time, but it takes quite a few ticks. It takes maybe 3 ticks or so to get pretty similar damage, which 3 ticks would be 9 seconds, which is quite a bit of time. So if you see a mob living for 9 seconds, you could probably go ahead and safely use Precise Blow once. If they don't live that long, then you can use the boot. So with Wardens being better than prior to the revamp, in my experience with the difficulty system, and just playing my high level Warden a little bit, my lower level Wardens, certain aspects of them have definitely been weaker since the revamp, which has been kind of interesting. It contrasts my expectations. So I found that, unfortunately, or depending on your perspective, maybe you're happy to see them brought down a notch, but the lower level Wardens seem to be weaker than before the revamp. And then the higher level Wardens, I think, are more of a just different. There are certain things that they're weaker at, but certain things that they're better at. I think the damage and the distribution of damage over the different gambits and even between melee and ranged makes them maybe not quite as good at speeding through the landscape as prior to the update, but they're by no means bad at it. But then for things like tanking and just survival, they are much better than prior to the revamp. I had another thought with that, but my mind is blank now. I don't remember it. I thought it was fairly important, though. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if you are doing a hardcore series, a pet class does help because the pet can defend you if you disconnect. Especially with the buffed up captain pets and hopefully soon to be buffed up lore master pets. I anticipate the leveling process with the Warden, though, will be a lot smoother. So that's something that I'm planning to test today and maybe have done a little bit with the Warden, getting him like 1 or 2 levels and just seeing how he's gone up, and even the other level 39, 40-ish Warden that I have, getting that one up also actually helped with that. Definitely is a bothersome craven. Clear? Is that where I'm going? It is, but I need money. This character is broke. He's got 2 silver to his name. I seem to, with all these travels, seem to think I'm... What's his name? The Monopoly guy? Can't believe I'm forgetting his names. Maybe Mr. Pennybags will suffice. Oh, I could start doing the Midsummer Festival, though. I don't know if I want to. Also, I had yellow shoulders. I don't know if these dropped from a mob or if they... Yeah, I don't think they were a quest reward, but they're an upgrade. For the time being, again, I'm going to stick without any crafted gear, which I imagine would help quite a bit, but I want to see more natural evolution of the character without much external factors. Deadly Zero, I believe, was the old tier 3, so I think tier 3 would still be Deadly Zero. Which I believe, yeah, the name would be Fearless for that. Y'all might notice this character's name. I haven't talked about that because I'm terrible at making character names, but I called him Luroic because the plan is to try Heroic tier. But as I discussed, running like tier 7, that might be a good difficulty level, but it's just kind of like, why? Why tier 7 over tier 3? And then why tier 7 over tier 9 if you want something more difficult? That's just the way I tend to view it. I will take the medium armor, although I kind of want the plumed hat. One of the travels.
Lead on, Fran. Where does your friend hold captive this Uruk?
Certain instance content, the landscape difficulty will impact, but anything for 3 or more people, it will not. And it sounds like for the story quest, so something like this, no difficulty on it at all. But yeah, the thing with tier 9 is for normal progression in LOTRO, I just find it way too slow. It's a little bit laborious instead of being very engaging and fun, to me at least. Wow, without the difficulty system, I actually do a lot more damage. They should be relatively the same, but you can see Precise Blow does over twice the damage. And I'm just on tier 3. Imagine tier 9. The boot does 200 damage at baseline. So it's pretty crazy. But anyway, yeah, for tier 9, it's just like too slow for regular leveling in LOTRO, so I'd probably tend to save it for very specific things that I want to do on higher difficulty. I'll probably have a video talking about this in the near future. Tier 9 Isengard expansion landscape, you took 8k damage from a blue monster. Let's see, I'm trying to think how much health. What does my lore master have? For some reason 6.7k is what I think, but it could certainly be a one-shot at that point. I just think it could be interesting to try to solo the Isengard trolls on tier 9. I think they're like right outside or something, I forget exactly where they are. You have around 9k health. So yeah, that's almost a one-shot. Hello, Bella. What are we? Are we really already 40 minutes into the stream? Wow, I've been streaming a long time. I feel like I've made zero progress. That was one of the reasons I was actually considering crafting my way up to level 10, but again, one of the points of actually leveling this character is that I wanted to test even the very low level experience here, which hasn't been too bad on tier 3. You can see that when I pulled more than one mob, it got a little bit tough. Right now, as a reminder, as I kind of smash these orcs, the difficulty system does not apply in this instance. So they're all getting my normal damage, non-nerf damage. He got shot by those orcs that charged us. Oh, intentionally. Yeah, with Warden, it's kind of interesting. As much of a class as it is that I love, I just haven't experienced it being one of the better ones for, in particular, tier 9 difficulty. We're going to do more testing with tier 3. I actually thought about with the stream. I thought this might be the stream that I was actually going to check out Gondor Renewed, in particular King's Gondor, Eastern King's Gondor. If we want to get really specific, the new zone, and can I go easily to after battle? Let's see. There is a way. I forget the way. Yeah, okay, let's go to North Ithilien, then zoom out, and then you can go to Minas Tirith. It doesn't seem to actually be taking me there. I thought there was a way to get easily to the after battle map, but anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I thought about finally starting Eastern King's Gondor, but when it got down to it, I just didn't really want to. I still wanted to just play with the landscape difficulty on. I could have done the same thing that I did the previous 2 streams and just done it on random characters. I had an idea for something a little bit different, but it's kind of just the same old, same old. But then I thought, with update 35 Warden revamp and not having leveled one from the start, this really was a great combination. All the factors came out. All the factors came together, that's what I meant. Okay, we're going back to Mossword, it sounds like. I'm questing very slowly today.
Hello there.
Hello, the Zocker. Doing well today. Now that I believe the air conditioner is working, I'm not like overly hot. But that has me curious. I'm gonna check the temperature. Good news, my air conditioner is indeed working. The reason I actually feel a little bit hot or warm is just because I always do when I stream and standing here. Okay, we are already where we need to be, and then I need to go north to the circle here and probably check out with all these people gathered.
We won't be caught off guard again.
Yeah, you'll have to... Oh, you can actually go to the Mordor tab to see King's Gondor. That's really strange, but yeah, it's right there. Huh. There's to Horondor. I don't expect us to actually go there, but it seems like update 30... See, they have crafting facilities there, which is so weird. Like, they wouldn't show those on the map if they weren't actually there, would they? But... And they even have, like, to Outer Gondor as a hint, but... Yeah, it seems like... I expect us to go, what is that? Not Pelargir. Dol Amroth, that's where I would expect us to go, and expect us to sail to Umbar, but... I'll have a video on this, but the sort of confirmation that a lot of this will be in update 38, which is the same update as the expansion, it just doesn't excite me. Anyway, we need to pick up the Barrel of Swords. And if we actually make good progress today, I can actually start Cardin. I think that'd be a lot more exciting than trying to go on autopilot for quests that I've done technically like twice before, but there they are. But don't remember the exact pacing of them all that well. Okay, now I have to check the map. If I go to the Mordor map, see, that would just take me to North Ithilien. And this is back where I was and thought I could get here because this is after battle. Can't do that from here. Of course, if you do Midsummer Minas Tirith, which that used to be the one, if you just clicked Minas Tirith here, yeah, it would take you to Midsummer, but that does not get us to where we need to be. So yeah, they have it really hidden on the map. Anyway, we gotta go northwest of the town square, so that'd be this way. When do I get Force March? Really look forward to that. I could, of course, just use my mount, but that's kind of crazy. Do y'all believe that Gandalf actually has knowledge? And Radagast, for that matter. And especially Saruman. Yeah, so the temperature I have, 71, would normally be fairly comfortable for me. It's a little warm. But when I am up here streaming, it's definitely warm. But in the summer, just because I don't want to pay much for air conditioning, I usually keep it at 74 to 77 when I'm just here and not streaming or doing videos. Okay, so we have to go, yeah, to that Uruk camp, I believe. That I could technically go there faster if I take a swift travel. We're gonna try to be somewhat speedy today. 71 is so cold. 77 sounds much better.
What can I do for you?
Yeah, my ideal would be upper 60s in summer. And winter, I'm perfectly fine around 60. Like, I could get to a point, and have gotten to a point indoors, where I actually need gloves, but otherwise would be perfectly comfortable. It's just my hands get cold. Where am I going? Lintrab? I will go to Glenhelig. Heroic +2 is technically soloable in my experience. It may partially depend on your class and spec, but it's really slow, and again, depending on your class and spec, can be quite tough. I have not gotten to trying Heroic on this character, tier 9 on this character. Currently we're at tier 3, which is, as I've repeated a lot, basically the baseline that I would run on any of my characters. But we'll test the higher tiers. Also, I forgot that today is not today, but this weekend is double XP weekend in LOTRO, which is actually perfect for this character because I want to get him to Cardin all speedily without doing side quests. And then I think that's probably the big reason I'm actually staying basically on level, just doing the book quests. So it's pretty good. I think Blue Beorning could do it. It'd just be slow. In my experience, though, playing my Blue Bear, normally they are great at soloing really challenging content, but the way, how much damage he took per hit actually made it a bit tougher, where my heals couldn't quite out-heal that. So I'd have to rely on doing enough damage by the time things kill me, and that wasn't going too well. So I didn't have the best experience on my Blue Beorning, but I think it'd certainly be possible. Maybe a better geared one, etc. could do better. Yes, they do have double XP weekends on LOTRO, but you actually have to be, an important note, is a VIP, so you have to be a subscriber to the game to get it. I occasionally hear a little like clicking noise from, I have chicken cooking, sous vide, and I occasionally hear a clicking noise for that. I'm like really looking forward to that now after this stream. Yellow Bear should be good as well. That one you have a little bit more of the healing power to out-heal enemies, but then you maybe don't have quite as much baseline survivability with just big mitigations that Blue Beorning would have. I don't have a good like mid-level Beorning. I used to, but then I Valor boosted my mid-level Beorning, so now that one's high level. So I'm in a tough spot with actually testing some other Beorning than that one character, which I think is a bit unfortunate. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to Valor that character, but I also did want to play him higher level. Well, it turns out I haven't played him much. He is actually, of the characters I have above 120, probably my most played one besides my Runekeeper and Warden though. So that's the reason I chose him. It's just I don't play him much and don't have much reason to get him to end game at this point. Hello, Anwa. Almost missed your message. I think I saw it earlier, but it's actually the dark profile picture. I can't even see if it's anything, but it blends in too well. Alright, where are we going? Nowhere. Perfect. I'm an elder. There we are. Bottom left. So the zone we are in is actually a new zone, Phineas. This is Swan Fleet in Cardin. It's from the Before the Shadow mini expansion, which released fall last year, I believe, October or something like that. And this one, just the main story, extra context for that, again, is that this is a double XP weekend. I also have a bunch of XP boosting gear on top of that. I don't know if I'm playing the whole day today. That was not the plan, but it just worked out that early afternoon worked best for me today. But I could play a while. That's one benefit of starting this early is it's actually pretty easy for me to wrap up a very long stream by time it's bedtime. Yeah, if we actually get that patch to improve lag this week, that'll be pretty big. It's kind of interesting. They mentioned one of the complications with actually the delving system is they previously implemented a fix for lag, but we didn't see too much of that effect because the delving system introduced a source of lag. So the two more or less kind of canceled out is what it sounded like. But hopefully we will actually see the improvement. Also, I have not seen this area at this specific time of day all that frequently. So I gotta get my screenshots. And Anwa, thank you for the $5 super chat. I do appreciate that, and the little keep it up message. That definitely helps keep things going. Oh, I think I got dismounted. I need to get actual screenshots of this character. That would be beneficial. It's a nice neutral outfit that, unfortunately, most of the screenshots I think about with my characters, it works well for thumbnails. I think. I guess that's up for you all to decide if it actually works well for thumbnails, but there we go. There's some. Also, this character is not in my kinship. I don't know if anybody plays at this time. Don't recognize the name Lumos. Actually, I kind of do, but I don't think either of those are officers. Hello, Argyle. He said, cool to see someone streaming LOTRO. You're thinking about coming back? Do you see a lot of players in the free world of the game? I think it depends where you are. LOTRO has a very gigantic world, So there are certain areas where you're probably not too likely to run into people, especially if you're in a very remote area. Like just say you're randomly in Central Gondor questing. In a typical play session there, I would not expect to run into somebody, but occasionally you might. In lower level areas, I tend to run into people more. I've actually run into... yeah, sometimes run into people. Today I haven't actually been running into many people. I think in the towns, that's where I typically run into people. Might have come across one or two, but I honestly haven't been paying much attention. Also, I could have probably used my milestone, but this works as well. Just running back. Take all the armor I can get. Okay. I think we are actually down below where I need to go. I guess at this point I might as well just run back. Yes, this is a new starting region, Luis, that came with, again, update, I think it was update 32, but the Before the Shadow mini expansion late to last year. So it covers levels 1 to, I believe it's supposed to go to 32, but I have not actually finished the zone to see if that is 100% accurate or if it's level like 30 or whatever. But it should take you to 32, I believe. So the Swan Fleet, the eastern part, is the first zone of the region, and then Cardin would be the second zone. Cardin's much more massive, and I believe it's supposed to go 15 to 32. This one should get you to 15-ish. Now I have done all of Swan Fleet sort of piecewise. I think I did the first half or so on my Runekeeper and was honestly super bored of it. Other people find it enjoyable, and you might find it enjoyable, but I'm not a big fan of this first half that we're doing right now. That said, on this character, I'm focused on the book quests and not doing any of the side quests. And then the second half was a lot more enjoyable, actually. I kind of like the second half. But on this character, I still haven't done Cardin, so my goal is to just get up to Cardin. It'd be really nice if there were an on-ramp to the book quest in Cardin, but I don't think that's the case. If anybody knows, though, I could actually level this character pretty rapidly to high enough level. If anybody knows if you actually can. Oh, we didn't even need to go here. I should have gone to Glenhillig at that point. And I need more silver. This character is broke. They really do think I am rich. Alright, is that enough money? I'll even sell these things. 10 silver, okay, that can fund 2 swift travels. Curious. Oh, slow travel is actually cheaper, so we could always do that if we needed to. To at least be lazy. Yeah, you do get, the gear has modern stats, which is great.
Interesting tidings.
So we bring them inside the shop. Well, this character can do a little extra Never Hurts Part 2. I wonder if that gives XP. I also don't know what cloak I chose. I think it technically would have been the wrong one. There we go. That didn't end up giving me XP, but that's okay. Okay, so we need to talk to... Oh, he's in the shop. And this is, yeah, this is the quest where you gather all this stuff. But yeah, my experience isn't necessarily the most representative of Swan Fleet in this particular stream because I'm not doing any of the side quests. Normally I do all the side quests, but I don't know, there's just something about it that made it very boring to me, unfortunately, on the Runekeeper that I tried it on. I think I talked about that. Yeah, I did make a review video on that if you're interested in more details. Okay, I forget where Ravenhill is, but that is a place I need to go. And then, what is it? Oh, we need whetstones as well. Not wolves. We need whetstones. I also don't know... So I did have precise blow. I don't know if that does enough damage against a mob like that, if I could just leave it on and that would kill it. We'll see if I have Warcry. That's a possibility. I do. So that's another dot and AoE. I'm actually curious now what gambits I have. I am getting up there. Looks like a bunch of the 2-length ones. I don't know when we'll get the 3-length gambits. But it looks like 2 boots, and that should be enough for these mobs. They are under my level, which is a sort of complication. Also, it's not a good representation of the difficulty system either if you're just fighting mobs under your level, but that's just the way these mobs are. Here's a bunch of Craven. This is a great test of my AoE potential, except that these are green mobs and they're 4 to 5 levels below me. So it is actually a terrible test of that. Previously, I'd struggled to fight 2 mobs at once when they were more on level. So it just shows the power of being over leveled even when you are using the difficulty system. It sort of, I'd say in a way, negates the challenge, but if you are constantly over leveled in LOTRO, it at least brings the difficulty level up a little bit to maybe closer to fighting like on level mobs. But even on tier 9, it's kind of crazy how fighting a mob 3 levels under you, how different it is than fighting something on level or even above your level. Having range stance would also be really nice right now. 229 Devastate. I'll take that. I still haven't found any of the whetstones, but I believe they're actually supposed to be along the road. That's right. So I can head up that way. And we do have a couple boars here. I haven't gotten the Eye of Sauron trigger in a while. I wonder if it should still trigger if you're fighting mobs below your level, but I at least have not seen it. Can I gather these mounted? I can, perfect. So I think a decent strategy could actually be to go to Lon Garin and then take a swift travel back to Mossward, assuming that's where the turn-in even is. And that way we have Lon Garin unlocked. Problem is, I'm very broke, but hopefully I've killed enough mobs here and gotten enough junk loot that I can actually afford a couple swift travels. So despite this character maybe not having much combat lately and hasn't been the greatest test of the difficulty system, I will say that it has been overall noticeable. Again, I've had to, when I've gotten into those situations with longer combat, it has been a bit more dangerous. It's just, I suppose, the nature of this zone and the Before the Shadow quest that we have done, especially without doing many side quests, that like I haven't gone to a regular questing camp yet. Camp of Enemies, I mean, where you just do like 3-4 different quests or whatever inside a camp of enemies. We haven't had anything like that to actually test how well you can handle a location like that, which is one of the big things that I haven't done a lot of with the difficulty system overall, is actually, say, doing a regular quest set on just one character. In particular, I'd be interested on tier 9, but even just on tier 3 with the characters. That's why there's so much opportunity and why I keep wanting to do these, where I just play with the difficulty system instead of the new zone from Gondor Renewed. Okay, and since we set ourselves up for this, I'll add Lon Garin here. And this is starting to bother me, so Go ahead and open these. I did get a teal reward on one of those. 3 optional crafting ingredients. Oh, universal optional. That's actually a little bit better. I thought I was talking about crafting universal ingredients, but this is optional ingredients. Warden still have major power issues at the cap. I have not really noticed many power issues on my Warden. That said, yeah, even when I've like mainly done DPS and group content, usually power issues are because of specific mechanics that drain your power or prevent power restoration, like something along those lines at least. That's usually what I've noticed power issues, and then you do usually have some opportunity to recover. Usually it's avoiding the mechanic rather than actually restoring the power, but I mean with the Dark Before Dawn and power potions, that has so far been enough for me. Despite it being a hot drink when it's already warm and, you know, summer and everything. I actually meant to make chicken broth for the stream, which I never did. Maybe that's something I can do. I can give you all slow travel back down to Mossword and get that set up. That would save me some money, which I actually need on this character, so I think I will do that. If y'all don't mind. It shouldn't actually take me that long, but I just gotta put the heat up water on the stove real quick. So I'll be right back. Hey, I made it back. We aren't even here yet. We're actually not even close. Wow, I feel like I was gone forever. Thank you all for your patience, though. Okay, so as far as the Eye of Sauron casual, you said it seems to trigger rarely when fighting mobs below your level, which would match the experience I have had so far on this character. Maybe they do have some relation, like, to mob level relative to your character level, and seeing... yeah, basically that impacting the rate of the Eye of Sauron. Hello, Joe. You said that you're glad to be playing this game again. You have to relearn everything, but it's okay. I find that can be fun. If it's at least an enjoyable game where learning everything is fun. More cinematic, but can't see. Maybe I'll do a poll. I think I've done the same one before, but I honestly forget. Which... so I want to see if you all prefer ambient light to be on for brighter or off like it is right now for darker. Because I find ambient light to be off a lot more immersive, but so hard to see, especially when it's nighttime. But again, that's actually immersive, whereas ambient light, everything has a little bit of a glow to it in the landscape and you can actually see. Could go somewhere in between. That's really weird to me, but you don't have to go extreme. Maybe I should have added that as a third option, like right there smack dab in the middle. Sometimes I just notice it and it feels a bit strong. And here it's, I imagine, especially if you are not on a bright display, hard to see. In town, it just looks so much better to me. But again, it's like if I actually needed to see something, I can't really see. I can hardly see my own character for that matter. Ismail, you're wondering where I am going. So I just went back to Mossward, I believe. I did a swift travel from Longaren, I believe. Alright, we have to do our perimeter search. So far, 78% of people vote on. So let's go back to, there's 50 to 100, where you can actually see. I forget if I have to actually click these or not. Doesn't look like it. Perfect. Or do have to click them, not all of them. Shoulder pads. Lot more modern stats. Actually, nice shoulder pads. Yeah, I think that was one of the big things. If you all remember, I did my Warden character who did the Naked LOTRO challenge, as I called it. So he did not equip gear. Actually unequipped all of his gear. And on top of that, we did level 1 weapons, so I never upgraded his weapons. It always made it feel bad for quests to actually have good rewards, which kind of sucked. So I think that's probably a challenge I'm not going to do anymore and sort of wrap it up with Warden. Well, Lewis, thank you for becoming a channel member. I do appreciate that. That helps support the content. Well, it helps support the content, it helps keep things going forward. Words are hard sometimes. Okay, Longaren. Swift travel, but I'm going to go ahead and get my chicken broth. Be right back. I try not to spill it. It's the Lord of the Rings Online mug, if y'all remember that. Lithia, I am running on tier 3 right now, but once we get to Cardin, I plan to start testing tier 9, or maybe now would actually not be a bad time. Although I think the Hardened Traveler is back at Mossward where we just left, but that's okay. But I want to get just a little bit more up. Because right now, tier 3, like, I need to fight mobs on level to get a baseline and actually fight them just a little bit more frequently, maybe. Both of these really bother me. I don't know what I normally do. I think this is how I usually have it. Melee on the right and ranged on the left. But anyway, we got our range stance, which means we just basically doubled our gambits. Not quite, but close. But should be really helpful, at least. I anticipate it would be. Okay, that's definitely too hot. I have to talk to somebody here. Hold up. There we go. Look around. That would help. Good water. Oh, defeat Avunk. That we can attempt to do. Assuming these mobs are around level 10, let's see, the quest is level 10, so should be all on level for this. I'll go ahead and change my milestone. That should give us a good baseline again of how it's actually going. Ooh, rain sounds fun. Maybe, if you like rain, Bella. Oh, you said it needs to rain here soon. Well, I'm guessing rain does sound fun to you then. Your watering barrel is almost empty. I thought the message said it's going to rain here soon. Maybe I should actually read before I comment. That could help. I don't know. Maybe they're hiding behind all the fog, but not seeing any Avunk. Seeing plenty of turtles. I'll try north. There's an Urkai. There's a toad. Seen basically every mob in the game besides an Avunk. That one? Oh, that actually was. Perfect. Oh, I'm in range stance. Okay, so with range stance I can kite. I don't know how necessary that is at this point. There we get the Eye of Sauron. So he has a corruption that I can't remove. There is one corruption that makes them take basically no damage. Maybe it's enraged power, but just the tier 9 version. That would be really terrible to get at level 10 though, because you don't have any corruption removals. And I think that's one of the things that makes me dislike the Eye of Sauron mechanic, even though overall, by the way, we can go darker for anybody curious about the poll. That was about ambient light. This would be at 0 in the middle of nighttime trying to do combat. Maybe a little bit extra reference point if you prefer the darkness or prefer it lighter. Again, I find this a lot more immersive. But yeah, when you're at this level, at level 10, and you don't have a corruption removal and the enemy has a corruption that makes them take basically no damage, it's not necessarily the most fun thing. I also think still, maybe I should test this a little bit more. We're getting a bit of lag right now. But I'm still not sure Precise Blow is really worth it at this point. Okay, I will head a little bit more to the middle. But I forget if it was a side quest or this book quest that actually had you go, I don't know, somewhere in the middle to like search something. There was a sword involved at some point, maybe. That's a model I'm remembering. There's a river Avunk. Yep, still got Eye of Sauron trigger on him. This one's going to be a corruption that I once again can't remove. Fortunately, this is only minus 10%. I just know it gets pretty major. I suppose that would be tier 9, maybe even higher level has a factor as well. Okay, yeah, so far, even against this level 12 Bog Lurker, I think ranged is, or not ranged, spamming the boot is better than our other options we had, which is mainly Precise Blow. Hey, got a token of heroism. Can turn that in. Oh, that was a lot of damage with that debuff. I also don't have a debuff removal, which normally a debuff like this probably wouldn't do too much to me, but that one actually kind of hurt. In fact, I might need to... with the slag. The slag doesn't help either. I was going to say that I might need to really find a potion, but I'm going to make sure this Avunk does not hit me. Okay, good, the debuff is gone. Oh, I actually have heals, that's right. Hopefully that... oh, that scout is in combat with me. Okay, this is bad. No title for me. I think I had exactly 44 health, didn't I? Something like that, at least. Good thing this character isn't supposed to be a hardcore character. I also don't know what this health buff was from. Did I use that? Maybe I did. But yeah, if this character were a hardcore character, that would be the type of situation where I could actually blame lag for dying, even though there's a good chance I would have died anyway. That's just the complications with having your own rule set for, nope, we're not doing that. I see you sneaking in there. I thought it was actually in combat with me. But yeah, this has basically been my experience with Warden, even running tier 9 difficulty, which I realize is drastically more challenging. But it's kind of that same feel that I'm having on this character right now, where Wardens just don't do a lot of damage. And compared to, say, more power class type DPS classes, such as if you were doing a champion, ooh. See, that was a good devastate, but it's not something that happens that frequently, and I have to find a way to deal with this dot. See, if I use consumables, I'm probably about to die again. Oh, there we go. Got it. But that's one of the things, that there are actually some ways to sort of mitigate this, or at least not completely mitigate it, but partially mitigate this. There's probably a word I'm looking for that I can't find right now, or can't think of, but you could use consumables, you could use food, you could use health potions, you could use debuff removal potions. So there are some things that you can actually use to help combat some of the difficulties that I'm running into. It's just something I'm not used to, and especially not used to at this low of a level, having to use that stuff. So it's, I think, one of those things that I'd have to actually get used to and maybe take my time. I'm just trying to quickly level up to Cardin at this point, but I'd have to take my time to acquire that stuff and prepare. Alleviate could work as well. Alleviate the Eye of Sauron symptoms. Well, let's see. A few AoEs. If there's no Eye of Sauron, see, there's the debuff though. Oh, I clicked it, but it was too late. We needed to, we're just death porting at this point anyway. Like, if I've already died once, no need to worry about it. Except I didn't need to death fort, because this is actually the quest that continues in the middle of the swamp. If people only watched these portions of my streams, you'd probably think I was really terrible at this game. I'm only a little bit terrible. Usually I'm not this terrible at the game. This might help. But yeah, I think it'd be really exciting to get all those like consumables and the such that you could use to buff your character up and make it less of a challenge actually. But especially at low levels, you just out-level stuff so quickly that I've been playing like almost an hour and a half. I'd probably get a half-hour use of the low-level stuff if I actually pick up the leveling pace a little bit. Whereas maybe by like level 30, if you're not leveling very quickly at that point, maybe at that point I would consider it to be more worth the time investment to actually get some of these consumables, make sure I have potions stocked, have food, have other buffs, all that sort of stuff. Also, most people have voted brighter. I kind of keep forgetting about that poll, so we can go back up to bright. I also can blame that for my 2 deaths. It was too dark. We didn't go in the favor of brighter. Maybe if it were, it's a 64-34. I don't know how that works, probably rounding. Because of that, maybe we should go to 64. Does that work? It's a little bit darker, but you can still see. Yeah, I'm impressed with the difficulty that I'm running into just fighting 2 mobs, but again, that debuff, that's the real killer. And I have nothing to remove the debuff. And then I think even my self heals. I am spec redline, and I also have hardly any of my trait points spent, only a little bit over half. But yeah, still, with the redline, you do only get half healing. I will say I could spec blue line, it'd be slower. But I don't know if I necessarily want this to be much slower than it is. It's a decent pace, but it's, I don't know, for some reason I'm just not feeling this system all that well with the Warden. So we need to listen for, not listen to. Okay.
Nothing. Let us continue our search.
So now we search further west. I have no idea why this chicken broth is greasier than usual. Blue Line have the... Yes, Blue Line still does have that reflect skill. I don't know if it works as well for the difficulty system. That is something we can test, though. I think I'm already high enough level. You get that stuff so early. So we could test that when we get to the next group of mobs. Here, I'll go ahead and do that before we get moving on. And I believe Persevere Gambit. It's so tempting to pick Fist Gambit damage. It'd be really weird. But ideally, if I were to play Blue Line on the landscape for a character like this, ideally I just wouldn't even actually want to use those defensive gambits. I'd just choose Blue Line for some base defenses. And I'll actually worry with the defensive gambits. Yes, they technically would be better and useful to put up and all the such, but... Let's see. Sorry, turtle. 74 damage. Does it actually say? Yes, it says in the tooltip. I could have just looked at the tooltip. But this is the power of Blue Line Warden. I hit that turtle 0 times. It was just so... I don't know, so terrified of my challenge that every time it attacked, it just felt that challenge in its ears that it died. Is that how that works? So yeah, that actually seems pretty decent for this. And it's something you can, I think, forever maintain. If you just use this on cooldown in combat, you can maintain it. So I think that was a good call and good reminder, Moose Cat, that Blue Line might actually even be best for damage. Here we got a debuff. I don't know if it's quite the Avonk level of... Yeah, that's not the Avonk level of damage, but... Yeah. Or did you remind me for Warden as well? See, it's just something I don't think of, but maybe I should think of it more. Do I want Sharp Dagger? Do I want Sharp Longsword? Do I want Sturdy Mace? Where's the Spear? They have Javelin. Is there no Spear? Do they really have everything but Spear? They have Battle Gauntlets, they have a Runestone. Like, I'm probably going to primarily be in melee. Otherwise, I would pick the Javelin if I think I could actually reliably be in range most of the time. But I think keeping it straightforward with melee might be my best bet at this point. Oh, fine. We can get a sword.
You would have been very proud of me.
Yeah, that was really significant for Warden because it doesn't seem to scale with weapon. Anything that doesn't scale with your weapon damage will be so much better when you're not only naked, but using level 1 weapons like Warden. Okay, so we are going... Okay, we're at the point where we're going way east. Let's see, I don't really know how I want to get there. Alright, we can... Well, yeah, I can just ride through the swamp. I'm going to do it largely on auto run here, because I have convinced myself that I want a snack for some reason. 1 second. Oh, this actually worked. It's kind of scary to see me have that deadly debuff. It does 3 times as much damage as the bleed that I got earlier. Which 51 might not seem like much, but it lasts 30 seconds, it has 10 ticks. That's like 510 damage. It's actually dealing like double damage to me as well. I guess with my mitigation debuffs, I'm not only taking... Like, not only have I think it's supposed to nerf your actual mitigations, but it's basically doubling the damage that I take on top of having the damage that I do. So that actually did, as we saw there, over 1,000 damage over its entire duration just from one debuff. That's why that debuff has been killing me. Hopefully you are enjoying the more of a challenge and actual progression of leveling a character with the difficulty system, though. I know the previous 2 streams I did on it were a lot more scattered and just sort of getting an entry-level testing of each character, each class that I had, with different characters of the classes and all sorts of different level ranges, and just a whole bunch of rapid testing. Whereas I'm more involved with this character, and it's kind of interesting that in the rapid testing, I noticed a lot of things on the Warden that made it maybe not quite as much as I'd had hoped it would have been in terms of its capabilities with the difficulty system. I did find on the level 40-ish Wardens that Defiant Challenge was actually still pretty strong, as it is on this character. Maybe not quite as strong as it is for this character, but on the 140 Warden, it didn't really do quite as much that I remember of, at least. But the big things that I have noticed on the Warden and continue to notice, the damage over time abilities, while they're very few in number for this particular character, they're just not that strong. So then for these like oddly timed fights, it's mostly best to just spam. At this point, it's going to be spamming the same gambit, the boot. And then the heals, and particularly if we are back in red line, are very weak. So Persevere, even in blue line here, it's going to restore about 100 morale, maybe a little bit more. So it's like less than 10% of my total health pool restored by that gambit. And I only have access to 1 heal at this point, and that's the same thing I noticed on Warden, the other Warden. Heals are limited. You no longer get the full like restoration chain fairly early on. So it's very different than what it used to be and what I'm accustomed to with, say, the low to mid-level Warden experience even. But then with the difficulty system on top of that, it makes it a bit strange to where I feel like the more upfront damage powerhouses like Champion, Hunter even, Hunter has some extra stuff that makes it even better on top of that. But in my experience, those classes have tended to fare better with the system, which is kind of odd. Maybe contrast my expectations a little bit. For max difficulty, though, Champion did start to struggle a little bit more. But for the tier 3 experience that I have on this Warden, it's just not as good as some of the other ones. So let's see a mob above my level. We'll be blue line here. And maybe with a mob like this, hold up, let me use an actual gambit. See, the boot still, it does not terrible damage, so I'm not killing that mob very slowly. It didn't really do anything dangerous to me, and it actually died rapidly. That could have been a lot of Defiant Challenge damage, but still, the boot, I think I got like 2 100, a little bit more, maybe even damage just from that. I also did upgrade weapons, so that's a big factor. Weapons are really important while leveling, and you'll really notice that at these low levels. Normally it's something that you don't have to pay attention to without the difficulty, but keeping an on-level weapon is very helpful. I think I will take agility, unless for some reason the will and might ones are just somehow better. I would really hope not, though. It's a level 12 quest, but higher level mobs. That's fine, though. We can deal with it. But yeah, a couple boots and that's just about enough to kill these Uruk-hai, so they're... You know, I'm not necessarily terrible here with the Warden. I also noticed that I have 3 Gambit icons on that, so maybe I do have... Oh, I have Combination Strike and Power Attack, so I actually do have Power Attack. 56 damage every 4 seconds. So that would need just about 2 ticks to become better than the boot. So the mob would have to live for 8 seconds, but that's exactly that duration that if I'm not chain pulling like this, which is kind of dangerous, I'm starting to get a bit more tools. So far my level 11 and 12 experience is much better than my, say, 9 through 10-ish. But if I'm fighting a mob like this and just do that chain pull style where once I hit it I can kind of ignore it, the dots are actually a lot better, relatively better. Let's see the corruption. I really need better organization of my skill bar here. We'll fix that in a second. Okay, this could actually be bad. I do have a debuff. Also, I think I got hit by the flame strike, but I don't remember actually being in the square. I doubt this buff is actually worth using, I'm just checking. Yeah, 400 parry rating. Yeah, this has actually been better so far against these Uruk-hai. So that's good. But that still holds true what I talked about for the level 40 Warden. That the dots just have been a bit funky, but again, those Wardens I've played, I don't know if I did tier 3 on those. It might have just been tier 9. So Max, you said you've been a lifetime member for LOTRO since its launch. From time to time, you play again out of pure nostalgia. You're excited for a new class. I am as well. I think there's a lot of interesting potential things for Mariner class, which I do plan to have a video exploring a little bit more. Somebody posted a lot of helpful information on my Discord about the lore references to Mariners. But the one that I was maybe a little bit more familiar with that they did talk about was Numenorian Mariners. I guess that was a little bit common way back when. And what's their name? That I did find a page on. Arendelle, that's right. So if I had to anticipate, that would probably be the inspiration. Like, each of the classes in LOTRO are actually inspired by specific characters in the Lord of the Rings, so I would have to imagine that's the inspiration for this. Okay, let's see a couple combination strikes if that is good here. Also did not use the plan challenge. We should get out of the flame strike area, which doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's just one of those things that adds up when I'm already taking a lot of damage. But it's something that for a single mob fight on tier 3 usually can just tank. But ooh, the gameplay has gotten a lot better. Level 12. Once we get to this area, this is exactly when I started actually enjoying Swan Fleet on my captain. And it's like, it's a huge uptick in my enjoyment of the gameplay. Hopefully I didn't seem too bored, but I know that if that lasted much longer at that boredom level, I probably would have like just swapped to crafting your ear of the wind just to get my level up a bit. This is the healing circle. range stance. Not very maneuverable with snack, cup, and... Y'all can't even see it. My mug, like, right in front of my keyboard. I eat excessively slow when I'm streaming. Just because I usually try to keep the content up and not just actually eat. Did not craft this character new gear. We're trying it without that. I do have the good old OP Shield of Hammerhand and the 2 earrings though. So those help with the character stats. He also did just get a weapon upgrade, which has actually been a pretty good improvement. Okay, I need to do something about the skill bar. This is probably going to seem very random. Resets, okay. That should work for now. Yeah, I am not a fan of eating in front of others either. I think one of the reasons is because I like food, so I don't like to make people feel like they're missing out on good food or whatever. Oh no, that's bad, that's done. This was actually going really well. Okay, I have a cool... Oh, this stun's way too long. And see, I don't have my stun removal, and normally that stun would be no problem, but just because of the increased difficulty, if I'm just stunned there, I can't do anything about it. I did kill 2 of them though. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, that was a long stun. No, we're only on tier 3 right now. I'm anticipating trying tier 9, but so far tier 3 has been a pretty good experience, I think. Definitely making a difference. I think even just in that fight, it's the difference between living and dying. I might even have killed the mobs before the stun without the increased difficulty. Just because my damage is nerfed, what was it like? I think a little bit, I'm doing a little bit less than 50% of my normal damage. And on top of that, I'm taking a little bit more than 50%. Sorry, a little bit more than 50, hold up. I'm taking a little bit more than 200% of normal damage. There we go. So I do half damage and take 2 times damage. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And on top of that, there's all these other things going on. Which I think on tier 3, again, it's really good to see that I think that is a good baseline because it's not impossible with that. Usually LOTRO landscape is very plow through easy. But this adds just enough, even though those numbers actually do seem drastic. It adds enough where it's not the safest thing to just run into a giant camp and not have to care about my health. See, I can still kill a single mob very handily. And there's really no worry about it. But if they have debuffs, it really tunes the debuffs up. Debuffs are quite tough, and then they're in the healing circle here, but we'll get them out. There's also the Eye of Sauron, and we saw the ground healing area. So this area heals enemies if they're in it. There's also one that does about 370 damage, I think was the numbers I was getting hit against me. I don't know what that yellow eye is, so that's going to give the speed corruption, which who knows what that did, because we still killed him very quickly. I don't know for tier 9. That's something that I could, I suppose, test and just see how much damage. You could maybe do it against a training dummy, I think. Seeing damage taken might be a little bit tougher with that, but if you just go up to the same mob and see how much damage you take from a normal attack against them, or from them, you could probably find that out. But yeah, for fighting single mobs like this, it's kind of a breeze. Even if I think do my bleed, which is stronger at this point. We're fighting a range mob here as well. it's not going to be the toughest, but as we saw when I got 3 mobs against me and got stunned, it was a sure death. And earlier, like back when I was, what was it, like level 4 or 5 or something, I forget exactly, I tried to fight 3 boars at once. Actually, I tried to fight 2 at once, so I pulled 3 in. Narrowly escaped, but then earlier I was fighting I was fighting 1 mob during lag. I started with a little bit low health and then had this debuff that did, over its full duration, basically my whole health a little bit less. So it was a tough thing to deal with when I don't have a debuff remover. I think technically I have premium potions from whatever you get them from, which I feel like are kind of cheating, but they are in the game. Okay, so we gotta get artifacts at like each of these places. I don't know if it's each of these camps that we have to. I can't really see on the map. I also have a cat in the way. You do get XP bonus. I think the biggest one is a Virtue XP bonus, but it is true I'm getting another 20% extra mob XP. When you're on tier 3+, that's the sort of baseline. This is a tiny cup of peaches. I don't even remember when I started eating, but I'm like finally halfway done. Okay, I believe the last 2, it sounds like, would be in the middle. But yeah, I think we're still at that period where I thought I saw someone else attacking me. I gotta get this cat out of here, I cannot see. But I think for a normal fight, we're still in that period where it's an odd duration where it's just not quite worth using my bleeds. And it's just like, the best bet is spamming upfront damage gambits, which I guess it's a good thing that upfront damage gambits are useful. But it's still something I'm not used to on the Warden, and compared to using a bunch of different gambits or getting some sort of variety, it's not necessarily the most exciting. That said, we might have different gambits now. Not seeing any. Range combination strike, actually. I think another thing is gambit masteries, actually. I think that's one of the big things that normally you want to have at level 13, but that is one of the things that would, I suppose, add a little bit more variety to the gameplay that I'm getting at this point, to make it actually feel like I'm not pressing the same thing or using the same gambit over and over and over again, because that would almost force some variety just based on what's available on the masteries. Okay, this time I actually use 7, which should, we'll see with the difficulty and the nerfs. Yeah, that's healing me up pretty nicely there. Each attack against me, it looks like, will heal me for 150, which is a little bit more than the damage I was taking from them, so that was pretty good. So my one cooldown that I have right now is still useful. Okay, that was a little bit better. An hour later, I am finished eating my snack. 20%, yeah, 20% extra XP for mob kills for tier 3 through 9. None of the XP bonuses extend past tier 3. In fact, just about no bonuses extend past tier 3. A little bit if you are running in a group, but see a good sequence like that. Like 237 crit from the boot. I guess that was it. Oh, Defiant Challenge also had it crit at the same time, and we saw the 20 and 21 with the shield bash and then auto attack. But if you have things lined up like that, sometimes I can actually melt mobs still. So I don't know, once I feel like I've come to a conclusion with the Warden, like, maybe not being as good or just certain things about it being funky, I then have the opposite happens, it seems like, in combat. So I described like the powerhouses like Champion, which if you have them geared and have up-to-date weapons, I know do tons of damage at low levels. Last time I did like leveled a bunch of characters, all of them were strong. All the physical ones were really strong at low levels, and that does include Warden. Warden wasn't quite up there until level 16, as much as these other classes, but Guardian and Captain did great damage at low levels. I didn't do Burglar when I leveled these ones that I remember, but they're another physical class that I would anticipate does a lot of damage at low levels. But Champion was a good step above the others. I think even more so than Hunter, which was really strong at low levels as well. And then all the tactical classes were quite a bit weaker than all of the physical ones.
He called himself on
Which would be Lore Master, Minstrel, and Runekeeper for anybody curious. The monetization YA, they actually have, they did, I don't know if you saw it, but in 2022 maybe? Was that it? I think it was 2022. It was long ago enough that it's actually hard to remember, which is a good thing, but they did actually have a huge change to monetization, and especially the way the content is distributed. You can now get up to Helm's Deep content free to play, and then beyond level 95 that would be, you have to pay in some form. You can do VIP subscription to get everything but the latest expansion and mini expansion, and then you can do, or you can purchase them piecewise. And then for the mount, you actually get the riding trait for doing the intro, like a little more never hurts thing that you can do on any character, so that does include Mossword. But if you make characters of other races, you'll find that same NPC and that same thing in the intro now as well. So they don't just hand it to you, but if you do that intro quest, which I believe you can go back on all characters and Mossword again and do it, but that will give you actually the steed that I just equipped there. And yeah, I don't think the game, it's a little bit convoluted to get this steed there. The game doesn't do a great job explaining it, or even pointing you to it. Maybe it does. I mean, it's in a tutorial quest, so maybe that's enough, but I still personally don't think it's necessarily a great job. I wonder if you can still buy the riding trait from the LOTRO store. Maybe that's why they still want people to think that's a good option.
whatever he taught them, always he held something in reserve.
For higher speed, the riding trait actually covers any of the speeds. It's the mount specifically. So at Hengstacer's Farm in Breland, for example, you can just pay maybe a gold or 500 silver or something to get, yeah, Harvane said 500 silver to get actually a faster, probably 62% speed mount, I'd have to guess. Warden gameplay changes. I have a whole video review on the Warden gameplay changes, but certain aspects are better. Certain aspects I find to actually be a bit worse. I think so far for this character though, the progression has made a lot more sense than it used to with the gambits you get and the order you get them. It's hard to tell in combination with the difficulty system, but the relative balance between damage over time and upfront damage gambits means that I am primarily using the upfront damage gambit, which isn't a bad thing, but even with the difficulty system and how long mobs are lasting, it's still primarily just the upfront damage gambits, which is just different than it used to be. But I feel like essentially all my bleeds are weak now, which is, again, isn't a problem. It just means it takes longer for them to actually become worth casting. Wow, I thought for a moment I could have jumped in the fire. This is I know it's Thamyrdine, but I forget if you go... I don't think you... Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to remember if the actual Thamyrdine that you can go to in game looks like this. Like when you're doing the Ragging quest. I don't remember it looking exactly like this, but I do remember this outdoors? Yes, it is outdoors. I remember this room, but they might have changed it, that I'm just not quite as familiar with where we could or what we could explore in the... Like if you do the Ragging quests to get to here.
You go on ahead. My words will guide
We traveled to Mordor very quickly. Wow. Oh, I can use my mounts here. Perfect. Looked like a fireball. Oh, it actually is spewing little fireballs.
in the fiery heat, LOTRO, not doom. Sauron
It's about time I run into my good friend.
one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness find them. In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie.
Yeah, I think that's one complication to any game system in LOTRO, is they usually have a very easy solution to figuring something out. The LOTRO store. So if I see something, I can't do the reward track on this character, but if I see something like travel to this objective, 1 mithril coin, that's a pretty easy solution to get there. There's just a lot of different things like that I find. Unfortunately, I don't think this is actually an upgrade. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't need that I say I shouldn't need that tactical mitigation, but a lot of the debuffs probably pull from tactical mit. Let's see, 23% versus 25.8. Okay, we'll do the 6 agility more, 1 vitality less, but I gain 10 fate. I don't think that's
I have hated orc kind for much longer than you have been alive.
not much of an upgrade if it is an upgrade. Anyway, quest advance, we can go back north and investigate Urks some more, which I'm perfectly happy to do. Again, this little portion of Swan Fleet is definitely the highlight for me. I just enjoy it so much more than this massive portion. A lot of great areas to explore, and again, a lot of people, I don't want to dissuade people from like starting Swan Fleet or whatever, or just make them not interested in it based on the way I describe it, but I just really enjoy this portion a whole lot more. Okay, what was I doing? Do I actually have anything for task? I do, broken hatchets. I know this character is broke, but we'll get him a task finish. Also, we got level 14, so I have Force March and the stealth skill, Careful Step. Force March should be nice to have, especially now that the quality of life boost where it does not toggle off when you go in combat. If any of you are higher level than me in Chetwood and I'm talking with Sauron, definitely not the same. Don't you love it though, just casual chit-chat with Sauron in the middle of your Cardin questing adventures? Alright, can I defeat a tree? I had something chasing me. One level 14 Warden versus a level 12 tree. And I'm not in range stance, but that's okay. See, this mob might actually last long enough where I feel like I can get good use out of my damage over time abilities. It's just after that I might have to go in turtle mode and primarily use defensive abilities, but then this tree's already dead and not quite sure I got the full use out of those dots. There is not an arena PvP system. I think for me that would make PvP more fun in LOTRO than their player versus monster player, which is PvMP, that you might hear about in LOTRO, but it'd be very different and I think tough to get working in a way that I would actually like it. Come on. I know this is the specialty of dwarfs and their goats, but I have a feeling that good old Starkhorn here can do it. I'm so close. Okay, I just gotta... Oh, that one almost had it. We're skipping around a lot. Alright, one more solid attempt. Okay, I'll go around. This was the alternative path, by the way. I anticipate it will be very easy to get up there with this alternative. Maybe. There we go. This is where I wanted to go. Right here. Turns out I had to go down here anyway, but sometimes being stubborn is fun. And while I'm not doing them, I also think the side quests, not only the book quests we're doing here, but the side quests are also a lot more fun in this area. Side quests I'm not doing mainly so I can get to Cardin more faster. Oh, I thought I pulled two. I think the strategy really is just to spam the boot. In fact, I should be able to tank the flame strike there. There we go. I believe there's a proper name for that. I have Sauron. It just says I have Sauron's score to hit. Is that a chest? That looks like a scholar chest. Nope, collection of poetry. Have I run into this before? I'm actually not sure I have. Wait, can you not get out of this gazebo? Oh no. Unfortunately, it's nighttime. Be a great time to be not nighttime. Just get better views of the landscape. I still think it shows a great landscape here, but not as great views as if it were daytime. You could see better lighting. Some decent waterfalls there. Oh wow, this is okay, this is bad. But I am curious whether I die or not. I actually want to try to take this on. I think I can with the... Oh no, there's a stun. Hopefully it's not another like 20-second stun. Okay, this flame strike might actually have killed me if I were in it. All that is thanks to my restorative shield work there. It's really nice for Wardens to have a good cooldown, especially even at this low level, playing the blue line here. Which I have a bunch of trait points I can spend. I imagine that... Yeah. Yeah, because if my goal is to not have to use my defensive buffs, I just won't put traits and things that impact those. I could also try again red line, see how different it is if we find another group. In fact, I'll go ahead and spec it just to have that ready. I think Spear Gambit initial damage is going to be the play for me right now. I also have like half my abilities on my bars now. That's the problem with trying to play two specs from the start. But see, I killed that worm very quickly. Don't have a Defiant Challenge, that's actually a DPS loss, but for a single target like that, I would imagine red line slightly outperforms blue line damage. As my drink piper. I can get this cat out of my way. I'll actually try to navigate. Okay, looks like I was on the right path anyway. I was just kind of holding down W while trying to pet her. Really? Sometimes that's the problem with auto run. Like, normally I like having a filled out world, having that rock there. Sure, it adds to the beauty of the world, but got in my way. Can you imagine how much worse the ugly bushes would be if they were actually impassable objects? Oh no, I'm getting virtues. Oh no. That's not good. I didn't set my earning virtue. Classic mistake. I'm really curious now, if I leveled a new champion, how much easier would it be than this Warden? Just another thing I want to test with the difficulty system. I thought I already had upgrade pants. Maybe I sold them on accident or trashed them on accident. She is stretching to get that. Okay, so we have defeat Urks and search debris piles. I remember this quest. It's basically the mission that you have in this area as well. I think the mission is a repeat of this book quest. Hello? Oh, just lag. I thought there was something there that I couldn't see. Cat indeed. There's cat fur in my drink. I'm always confused how that happens. Like, where does all this cat fur come from? It's all over my desk, all over the floor. There's a ton of it that appears in my vacuum whenever I vacuum. Also, I am doing the tier 0 move where you don't have difficulty, and I was just like, it's like, yeah, I'll round up everything here. That's how I normally play landscape in LOTRO. It's just so much of a habit when I'm not actually paying attention. You know, I'm on autopilot. I just fall back into the old don't have to care about anything landscape play. Yeah, I think I actually pulled a couple mobs here. This is bad in the red line. Oh no, that corruption's bad. Oh no, we died. I blame Piper. That was all her fault. Yeah, once the Warden gets more, I'm really interested to see what the like level 20 to 40 experience is. And maybe if I see, this is another one of the problems. I was gonna say maybe if I geared up Warden or if I geared up my other level 40 Warden, but not I don't think that everybody would just have the opportunity to craft themselves a whole bunch of OP gear and then go from there. So if I just use whatever random quest instance and maybe some crafted pieces mix that I have, I feel like that's a more realistic test. But maybe if I did completely outfit Warden, that would be a good way for me to see maybe the level 40 experience is actually not as bad as it has been on that terribly geared Warden that I had been testing that's also level 40-ish. Waiting for it. I don't know if she's going to go into the bed. Nope, she stretched that way. Uh-oh, there's a badger. Okay, where are we headed? Oh, back to the Uruk camp. I actually had that under control until I think I accidentally pulled it or just ran close enough and I let it happen. Got that other one. But yeah, this actually makes me think that it could be interesting to try a challenge where I try to level each class to 20 on just tier 3. I think tier 3 is fine without crafted gear or anything, so no external assistance. If I try to level each character, each class, it'd be a lot of repeating the same content, but I'd probably mix it up and take a while. Like if I did one per month, that'd be like a whole year for this challenge to be completed. Maybe like when a class gets a revamp, so like the Guardian and Bay Warning refresh as they're calling it, I could do the Guardian and Bay Warning. No, just things like that could maybe spice it up a little bit and not just be the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Alright, let's try this again. I have an improved strategy this time that clearly still involves just running about into the middle of the camp. I really should spec blue line if I'm gonna play even close to like this though. But if I just two-shot these Uruks, that would work as well. Two-shot as in 2 gambits. Clearly that was like 7-ish abilities total. I don't even remember. Yeah, I think it was 7. I think here it's just a bunch of combination strikes. Might even with the time, might even be best to just use offensive strike there rapidly. Maybe both works. That clearly worked there. And then this would be the dot strategy. I also think, if the morale taps were stronger, then that would really help the Warden to do AoE pulls like this. To really take advantage of the improved defenses of, say, playing the blue line, but all the... Oh, it's a bit tough, but the morale taps are just so weak. Okay, I have to actually heal my character Piper. I was gonna try to pet you for a little bit. Ooh. There you go. How long do we think she's gonna stay there? Hello, think good. Short knife of elf make. I guess that's all I needed. What is this buff? Oh, the persevere heal. Incoming healing modifier. Well, I can use level 15 potions, so that's a good thing. I was gonna say that's a tiny amount of power, but I have a tiny amount of power anyway. The 15 potion heals me about a third-ish on good RNG. Will heal me about a third-ish of my total morale pool. But yeah, I'm thinking we'll be getting to Cardin, if I remember correctly, somewhat soon. From what I remember on my captain. Hello? There we go.
You found Uruks at the hole of the Swift River. I do not doubt it.
Yep, here's the purple weapons quest that I was excited for.
I will bid farewell to you and the Ranger Meneldir.
And now we go back to Mossword, I believe.
I will take Brigalow.
So I'm thinking I'll start Cardin maybe. But at this rate, I don't anticipate that I'll get too far in it. But we'll see. So for you, Belly, your cat gets up on your desk and stays right in front of the monitor until you pet her. The second he stops, she bops your head until you start again. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with Piper staying away from me this long. Especially when she's actually up and active and not going to, like, have a cat nap. She's having a cat bath instead. Oh, Tokens of Heroism. That's going to be the quest that was just outside. The Hardened Traveler. Okay, is there a spear this time? There is a spear. Wonderful. Although that axe and hammer's looking, well, they don't actually look good. The icons were looking pretty good. It's also an ugly spear, but I'll take a spear. I'm just happy to have a spear, okay? That's a decent DPS upgrade. What would that be, about 33-ish%? Somewhere around there, about a third. Better. Something about that seems way off. Yeah, that's actually closer to 50%. Not quite though. Maybe 40 to 45 in that range. Oh yeah, so this guy, he really is. I cannot spot this guy ever. We got 3 tokens of heroism for that. Now we can do another repeatable for 20. And what can I get out of all this? Well, actually right now, nothing. I really want to see what these potions, I haven't seen anybody mention the actual, like, how these potions work. Clearly I don't have any. I've got my first 6 heroes mark, and you can't even barter for anything because you need more reputation. Now, something that I'm also curious is how reputation actually works with this. As far as I know, novice shit. Is that what it's called? Like initiate, novice mixed? Alright. But it looks like I would have to do that 5 times. I guess with the rep accelerator that would really help, but 5 times to get to 1500. And then maybe I can barter for potions. Would that be stalwart? And then daring, indomitable, fearless. No heroic rewards though. It's a lot of coins to get that stuff, but I'm guessing the idea is that over time you'd get a lot of coins, and to me, the potions, if they're actually useful, then probably be what I'd primarily barter for. Okay. Anyway, we are ready to head to Cardin. Which first Harbat, I need to head this way. Head towards Cardin, I should say. How long have I been here? 2 hours, 20 minutes? Alright, while we're on auto run here, once I get myself unstuck, hopefully there are no rocks in the way, and I'm just going to check on my chicken real quick. Hey, we're still going. That's probably good because that had like 33 minutes left, so I just turned the timer up. Although today I found out I am completely out of carrots and celery, which I need to make any, not need to make any, but need to make chicken-based pasta noodle stuff better, to me at least. So that is something that I'm unable to make today. Okay, that was just a quest ring for the side quest. So this guy is going to be, okay, he is actually up northwest here. Is it this thing that I need to interact with? I didn't think so, but I can click it. Oh, it's on a mount. The NPC, the woman of Rohan.
Be you friend or foe to Rohan?
And here I forget if you're supposed to do this on the bridge. I know I just did it on my captain, but we'll try the bridge. That seems like that would be more so the intended way. Okay, maybe not. Oh, I just fell through the bridge there. Well, work joined me. Means I can use my AoEs at least. Something a little bit different than spamming the boot. Getting a debuff remover would be really nice right about now. See, this one, I talked earlier about debuff doing twice as much damage to me. This one's only doing like 1.5 times, but that could just be the defensive boost that I get being in the blue line, to where I would have already maybe mitigated a decent portion of that, to where it still is doing relatively 2 times. That's a complication with changing specs and of course changing gear, since the last time I actually paid attention to the relative damage of things.
That was not pleasant, but at least we have reached the northern bank.
Is that the woman of Rohan?
Stark mode would have followed me anywhere I would lead him, even to his death.
Good necklace? I'll take it.
Cardin in the ruins of
I haven't gotten an upgraded Warden shield. I will say that's one thing that would be nice. Can't complain about the overall distribution of like gear pieces that I've gotten. Looks like I haven't gotten boots, but Warden shield and javelin. I technically could have gotten a javelin, but it looks like we are on book 2 chapter 1, which I don't think I ever did on my captain. So we are entering new territory for me with Before the Shadow content. We need to defeat 8 orcs. I don't think I did this in my captain. Sounds somewhat familiar actually. I thought I might have gotten to the next camp, but I don't remember. Either way, this is still, wow, this defiler really has some strategy there. Keeps running in and out of my melee range. All for naught though. He just delayed the inevitable. But yeah, after that like level 11, 12 turn, when we not only got to the more fun Swan Flake content, in my opinion, but also switched to Blue Line briefly before that, and just started doing better. I've been a lot more positive about this character's experience, so much so that I'm actually going to try this AoE here, which could be dangerous, but this is something that I feel like I should be able to handle even on tier 3. I also have my debuff remover I've been begging so much for. And while I use my cooldown there, that seems reasonable for a group of like 5 mobs, 6 mobs, however many I pulled there. And sure, these are 1 level below mine, but I'm starting to feel like this is actually tier 3. Which unfortunately means it's actually kind of easy. Or fortunately, depending on your perspective. But it is nice to have that swing in power that I'm feeling right now. Especially when I'm playing blue line. Again, red line is a bit squishy. They really, with the Warden revamp, really gutted red line survivability at sort of the, at least with the self-heal capabilities. which in long-term fights I totally get that idea, but for quick healing, I guess at this point I just don't have much either.
How fared you against the orcs?
Orcs bearing this white hand have a
Yeah, I definitely did not do this next quest. Well, scouting campfires. I don't know how strong that heal is. Oh, that debuff's bad. I should have removed that. I'm just gonna retreat, see where that takes me. I am curious. I have to investigate where this takes me. All the way back to Mossword. That was a bad move. Oh well. That gives me a chance to maybe organize my character. Check my deed log. That's something I've never really paid much attention to in this zone. Don't really have to worry about these, besides them giving LOTRO points. We are in... where were we before the shadow? Swan, and Cardin. Here we go. And then they have this random one done land off to the side. Yeah, it looks like for Explorer of Swanfleet, of course I wouldn't have done much of this. Cardin, I actually have one place explored. For completed deeds, I actually have the mini folk of Glanduin, so I actually went to all these camps. Okay. My level is, I'm level 16 on this character. So I'm pretty much with the extra XP. I don't think I did a single side quest in all of Swanfleet, and I'm actually about one level over leveled for the quest, even though this quest is level 17. The mobs around it are mostly 15, it seems. So that actually, yeah, some of these are actually 16. But that actually did a pretty good job keeping me on level with the VIP boost. Oh, I'm on tier 3 difficulty level. That makes sense. Which isn't much, and right now, despite me dying recently, it's even in a fight like this, very capable of managing it. Now I could say largely due to Defiant Challenge damage return. Like that archer I have not actually attacked once. That was all Defiant Challenge right there. But yeah, tier 3 I think so far has been pretty nice. It's been a little bit of a mixed experience on this character, just based partially on the content I was doing in Swanfleet and the scatteredness of combat, and even just getting used to the system actually, again, just because I played LOTRO so long without the increased difficulty that that's what I'm more used to. And when I go on autopilot, I do stuff that doesn't end up that well on the deadly difficulty, or on the tier 3, which is, that's the old deadly. For anybody curious, it's now called Fearless, I believe, but I just call it tier 3. But that, it does enough to where you actually have to pay a little bit of attention. But I will say, at this kind of level 15 turn point, it's, I don't know, it depends how much of a challenge you're looking for, because right now it's a little bit on the easy side, but I don't necessarily mind that, because it's still enough to actually make me have to pay attention. And if I pull, say like 5 mobs or 6 mobs, whatever that one big grouping was before, I actually had to use some strategy there. It wasn't just like this, I could run into all these and then just like go and randomly deal with the Defiler, the Archer, and all that such. I actually have to employ some strategy with this. I have to select a reward. Maybe. We'll see. Now that I have my debuff remover though, that's a real game changer for me. And I'm also in tank spec, so I'm not just plowing through this in DPS spec. Okay, let's get some healing going. Is this really all that's fighting me? Or did they attack Boromir? I'm kind of surprised to see Boromir here, to be honest. I guess he's heading up towards the hobbits, maybe? Because this is a set before the like prologues that you would be doing in the other zones. Recover Boromir's pack. I would guess that is to the west? Somewhere to the southwest, okay. So Deadly 3, is that tier 6? I could definitely see that one not being easy. The main problem for me with increasing the difficulty, I know I've repeated this for people that have been here a while, but I just don't see much point in doing tier 4 through tier 8. For me, at least. Even says here, Son of Gondor, which is... That's where I tend to associate Boromir. Anybody like that, really. We also had the Traveler from Rohan over here. Let's see that debuff. I was trying to see how much damage it did to me. I think it's doing 53, and the tooltip is 26, so that one is definitely doing double. But man, compared to my experience just a few short levels ago, I am doing so much better on the landscape. I also feel like even just the slightly increased variability of gambits and having the debuff remover, that really is a huge game changer. It might seem ridiculous, but it is. I'm just doing so much better than before. Oh, wait a minute. So, oh, I need to turn it. Okay, I was gonna say. Gotta learn to navigate. Yep, the difficulty.
You must have struck fear into the heart of that thief, my new friend.
Now, scattered supplies from. Are these dead orcs? What's he so busy doing that he can't gather these? He's just standing there. Those were probably killed by another fellow traveler that came before me. Plus these mobs, some of them being 3 levels lower than me. I don't know where all the level 16 ones went that I was seeing previously, but when the mobs are under leveled, that really negates a lot of the increased difficulty, where I actually do believe that I can take care of this. Maybe not. This might be a little bit much, but we'll see. I just gotta get my AoEs rolling. But yeah, they die so quickly. Well, I still definitely take more damage, and the debuffs are still scary. Like, the dots are still scary. It's still possible, maybe. Yeah. Whew. The archers didn't help. You do have to pay attention to mob type, which again is a good thing. It's still making me think maybe more than if that were with 0 difficulty. But I am really finding kind of consistently the under-leveled mobs really take out a lot of the challenge with the increased difficulty. And all the different testing and all the different characters that I played, that has been consistent. I'm also guessing, well, I was going to say that I'm guessing, let's do floating names. The supplies are on the inside, but the map shows a good chunk of the circle being on the outside, but that could be because they're all on the southeastern edge there. So perhaps we head back into Tharbad and just do a better job searching this time. There's scatter supplies. That's a tiny... Oh, whoa, my health. Okay, hold up. I'll hide in the bushes. This is the good old dungeon strategy in LOTRO. How you tank bosses just running around an object like this so they can't hit you. Okay, this is not actually working well. Alright, I'll just use my cooldown. I'm getting tired of spinning. But yeah, when I was thinking scattered supplies, I was expecting like boxes that I'd have to pick up. Whatever that is, I can't even see it. It's like a pouch. Does it tell me what I gathered? Nope, just scattered supplies. Just makes me curious what's the importance of these scattered supplies. Oh, to the north. So Thomas, he said that you got your Warden to 130 on Fearless +3, used a level 50 Valor. Not being able to pull ridiculous amounts of enemies without fear of dying was so sad. Well, I mean, that is the difference if you choose to go up to, especially Fearless +3, which would be tier 6 compared to just tier 3. We've been running into... Oh yeah, we've been running into light blue mobs, I think. Level 14s. Curious what gambits I have, if I have anything different. Also, I totally am basically going in circles. So we have Piercing Strike now. Which could be good single target damage over time, which I don't really need at this point. There's a level 18. We'll see if I can handle this big pull this time. I don't think I have Brink of Victory. Also, I really got... Oh, I actually do have Brink of Victory. And I really gotta use my heal there. I think in AoE it could be worth hitting a Brink of Victory at the start of a fight, but I'd really have to check the damage numbers. It's kind of ironic, though, that the name of the difficulty for tier 3 through 6 is Fearless. I think they changed the name to sort of empower your character instead of just sound like a scary thing. But playing on Fearless for the same thing for me would actually make me fear things. And I don't really need a pocket item because I'm using Druid Stone to level faster, even though... Ooh, purple hat. Even though I might get at a point where I don't need that extra XP, especially if I do all the quests, and it's really helped keep me up with just doing the book quests in Swan Fleet, but I do intend to do the side quests now that we're in Cardin, so I might be unequipping these XP boosters and using some of the alternatives that we get. Have to say goodbye to leveling fast. In fact, I think I'll go ahead and do that with the earring and the pocket item if I find it. It's actually a stat upgrade for the pocket item, at least, if you want to look at the good part. It's so sad to level slower, like intentionally make myself level slower, but it is better to keep me on level. And again, I don't want to just be over leveled because that negates the challenge of being on increased difficulty. Epic battles. Actually, have I run an epic battle with the difficulty system? I think it might apply if you run a solo/duo one. That could be something to check out. Why are there 2 Boromirs again? Hello, Aberg, or Berg. XA Berg AX. There we go. And now we're in Medjugorje.
As is custom, I called upon Theoden, king of Rohan, upon arriving at his...
Level 17, I'm already in Rohan. This has to be, without doubt, the worst area in Rohan. I would even say all of the Rohans. It's not that it's ugly, but it's just the worst. Well, alright then. Do y'all know that this is the inside of Medjugorje? Did I actually get myself stuck here? Oh, we followed him to the doors. I don't think we were supposed to go in when the doors open.
I was denied my audience with Theoden.
Well, we'll see if they open the doors again. I'll try to pay attention a little bit. I think I'm stuck. I wonder why they don't have an interior in Medjugorje. It seems like they just have a fake building here. I don't know what purpose that serves. Is it so they can pretend that there is somebody inside for that door ward to have a job? Was that his grand scheme? He just wanted a door to have a job, even though the door leads to nowhere when you actually look behind it. Well, this is unfortunate, though. Have they changed stuff to scale? I know it used to be if I was in a high level area, every mob in the zone would come at you. No, there is no level scale like that in LOTRO. I would love to see something like that, but that would be probably a pretty big mess. Okay, I think we'll have to start at the beginning again. No, it actually did pick up. Sometimes they do. So we didn't completely lose progress.
What to make of Eowyn, the king's niece? Are all women of Rohan so eager to fight? May Theoden recover from his illness, but if he does not, Theodred will be a good king. Theoden's door ward is named Hammer. He seemed a good man. The man Grima.
And then Eomer.
I did not like him. I sparred for a time with Eomer.
So this is basically Boromir talking that, like, he didn't like Hammer, Worm Tongue. Theoden would be a good king if he recovers from his illness, all that sort of stuff. And now we are in Gap of Rohan. Taking a second for things to load. This very bare landscape for a moment. I don't travel to the Gap of Rohan that much. Here's good old Saruman. Character. He's really started in with the great inventory problem. Not even with that many consumables. I could actually, while we pay attention to this in the background, I'll start putting stuff in my vault. In particular, a lot of the cosmetics I could honestly just straight up destroy since I know I won't use them on this character, but I can put them in here before I resort to destruction. I don't really know many long-term plans for this character. Or I don't really have any long-term plans for this character, but if y'all are really interested in this character's journey, wherever it may lead him, definitely let me know. I'd probably consider picking Warden back up, like after I did Cardin. That would be the general idea, as this was a temporary character just to really go through Cardin. And then should be able to sort of bridge the gap between Warden and this character. Warden I'd probably like pick up in Misty Mountains, in particular Goblin Town, when I got to that level. Why do I have 2 hallmarks of the Hammerhand? Oh well. Oh, I can spend a lot on my precious silvers. I'm gonna do it. Even though I'm gonna destroy all these cloaks anyway. Okay, so as far as what Saruman was going on about, he won't let us pass.
Beyond the gap of
And
Rohan,
for that,
saw no
we got a
sign of
salvaged,
countless miles.
elven-made leather hood. Doesn't look bad. I actually kind of like the light armor one, but I wouldn't use it. I actually really like the heavy one. I'm not familiar with many cosmetics that look like that in LOTRO. I don't know that it's the type of thing that I would use. I'd have to get a really specific outfit for it to work, but I do like that heavy armor one a lot.
That is my tale. You have no doubt heard more exciting stories than this. That is my tale. You have no doubt heard more exciting stories than this.
Oh, for a cloak, I also did have, it's not really going to be an upgrade cloak. Kind of like anything I get over the earrings, but doesn't boost my XP. And then we'll go to the cosmetic and cosmetically equip the shield. To the northeast. Can't be that far northeast because at least the quest tracker isn't showing that. It says it's short distance away. Because on the quest tracker, this NPC should be, Meneldir should be like right here. And as far as the quest goes, on the mini map, no, that's Mosslarker. I don't know why that's tracking on the mini map. There he is, hiding in the shadows.
Don't know if we can trust this captain of Gondor.
Okay, show the map.
The words of Bregolet.
You've decided we should travel together.
It pleases me to hear that Meneldir will not...
Meneldir is back.
of Gondor.
Then we are agreed.
So defeat foes within Tharbad, find a gap in the outer wall, find another gap in the outer wall. Yeah, I think it looks like I have one more XP boosting item for a little bit of reference. But this does make me really curious what it would be like if I actually equipped Warden. So to me, that sounds like a tentative plan for how I will progress the Wardens in the future and move Warden. I'll probably make a poll though on my channel. If you'll see that come up in the near future, I'll probably make a poll for what people want to see out of Warden. I could continue the Naked LOTRO challenge and just not increase the difficulty, although there are some issues with that. With the Warden revamp, he really got nerfed hard from that. It makes me question how well other classes would do without gear and with level 1 weapons. But then with the difficulty system, there's like an actual mechanic in game to increase difficulty, where I could still have the excitement of getting new gear pieces and all that sort of stuff. And we could really empower Warden. So there's a few ways to go about it, clearly. And I think a few options that I would like, at least. Hello, Eric. Perfect. They'll never see me here. Oh, never mind. They will see me. Sometimes I guess you do have to expect the floating high elf. So I'm surprised I still don't have a onslaught. Piercing strike. Let's see how much damage that does. 68. It's ticking 58. Oh yeah, I think we just need to defeat foes, as it says. Brink of Victory is going to be 53. Not a ton of damage. And if I compare that, I might have to use a potion here. Yeah, I'm gonna do that to be safe. Combination strike, yeah, take quite a few ticks of Brink of Victory. Ooh, my health is low. That's not good. I shouldn't have just run in with having to use my potion like that. I knew I had it available, but I just wanted to test the damage of some things. So I am playing on tier 3 right now. I was considering at some point testing a higher tier, but I still haven't really settled in with tier 3 because the experience has so far been just different. There have been periods where it's actually been very challenging. I'm also using bad games here, but we'll ignore that. Where it's actually been pretty challenging, but right now it's to like kind of an easy phase, but then again I'm also fighting mobs that are a bit under my level, and the goal is that I would not fight mobs under level. Because that would be... It really does negate a lot of the challenge if you're just fighting under leveled mobs like this. But... like, right now, if I were to pick a difficulty, I would do maybe tier 5 through tier 7. I could do tier 7 just to get to the heroic threshold. But it's kind of like, why? There's nothing... This is maybe a bad way to think about it, but there's nothing that I get for picking tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, tier 7, tier 8, and tier 9. Tier 3 is the only tier above tier 2 that is actually contributes anything to like what you get for your character for going higher difficulty. And I also think at a certain point for regular questing, kind of like I'm doing right now, there is a point where it just becomes technically possible, yes, but very slow, to where if I'm like looking to actually quest and enjoy the questing experience, I want that much increased difficulty there. We're going all the way to Herne. We're actually skipping this camp. Interesting. But yeah, the higher tiers would be basically bragging rights, I feel like. So if I were to... There are so many ways to almost exploit that. I can't think of the right word again, but like if I just went to tier 7 to say I did tier 7, that would be great, I guess. Like a personal satisfaction thing, but again, that might get to a point where it's like, it just makes it too slow or too annoying. That's where I would reserve tier 9 to where I am. That would actually be a challenge. But then if you just like, I think streaming actually really helps with this. But if you just basically said that, hey, I did tier 9 solo and leveled to 50. But if you don't actually know what whoever's saying that did to get to level 50, maybe they just fought mobs that were 5 levels below them, which based on my albeit limited testing, that is entirely possible to do and not actually be that huge of a challenge if you're just fighting mobs way under your level on tier 9. Wow, that mailbox has stood up very well, but it's gotta be tough to get the mail out from the mailman. Almost covered in the rubble. Can't believe it stood up so well, though. Anyway, a whole bunch of side quests for Tharbad, now that we're done with it. This would have been great to have earlier. I guess maybe you were meant to explore up here before you finish all the book quests. But I think these are what I will save for later. I do actually intend to start doing side quests. I know today has been strange in that I've done 0 side quests, but normally I actually prefer side quests than book quests. The it's not that the Cardin or Swan Flight, I guess at that point, book quests are bad, the Before the Shadow storyline, but I do prefer to do side quests usually. And I think it'll be exciting to get to a more normal questing, even though we're going right back to Tharbad, which is okay. I'm just a bit over leveled for it. But maybe when we get back, it won't be a VIP double XP weekend, and I don't have much of my XP boosting stuff. I just, until I get an earring to replace this, figured I'd keep it equipped. But yeah, we will see how that goes, and intend for now to keep tier 3 up, unless I find a specific challenge that I want to do tier 9. And I think that is a good point for me to wrap up the stream and eat some dinner. So as far as the stream goes though, I hope you all enjoyed seeing the kind of new character experience with the difficulty system. I'm tentatively planning a series actually where I do something similar. Won't be exactly what I did with the Warden here, but doing something similar with some other classes, maybe leveling in different locations as well, and perhaps a little bit different focuses, but just seeing how they all do at a sort of baseline level on tier 3 while leveling, and do it as a bit of a challenge where I'm going to try to get all of them. Warden already failed this challenge, but try to get all of them the Undying title. So I think that's the level 20 title. If you get to level 20 without dying, you get that. Try to do that on tier 3 and not I'm having trouble thinking of words. I'm also having trouble getting stuck in spots on this character. Wow. Did I change my milestone to this camp? No, it's still on Karen. Okay, good going. Well, I guess this is the punishment for trying to jump where you're not supposed to. I'll just use my milestone at this point, because we'll probably want the town services VIP vendor when we play again. But anyway, the other characters, I'd be really excited to do that. I don't know how frequently I'll do them, so I'm not just repeating the same thing over and over. But right now, I'm really curious how Champion compares. I've talked a lot about Champion. It's not the class that I typically gravitate towards, but I was pretty impressed with the way Champion handled tier 3 in some of my earlier testing streams. If you have not checked those out, I realize they're very long, but I did test Champion in those, and I was pretty impressed, so I'm curious how they would compare to, say, this Warden for tier 3. If it would be, just be killing mobs a lot faster, or if it would be running into survival issues. Would I be able to play the AoE spec, or would I be more or less relegated to red line or even blue line like I'm running with Warden here? Which I have not spent trait points. There's a lot of, I think, different things like that to test that could be quite interesting to see the results in just the comparison between the different classes. Anyway, enough rambling. Again, as far as this stream goes with this character, hope you all did enjoy it, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks to everyone for joining, chatting, and watching. And again, thanks to Luis for becoming a channel member, and Anwa for the super chat.